Hi, this is Nick, the commentator. I would like to welcome you to SmackTalk RC podcast with my boys, Bert Camera and Bobby Watts.
If I swore, you can't put it because my dad says I'm not allowed to swear.
You're so full of shit. You're
keep
fucking
in mind,
21.
I'm 21. Ooge. My name is Donald Trump. It's going to be huge.
Okay.
Gina.
All right, I'll start it off. You start it off this one.
You started. You started. This one.
All right, here we go. Hello there, everybody. How's it going? My name is Bobby Watts.
And my name is Bert Kammerer.
And Bert just had a large sip of a cocktail.
That was actually Bobby, but
Okay.
we've been enjoying some adult beverages today.
How many have you had?
I'm only on number 3 right now. So
Number
that's
3.
actually a good thing, because I feel like I want to be honest. Tell the truth.
Just telling the truth. All right.
Telling the truth.
What, me or you?
No, we all will. You and I and our guest.
Okay. Yeah, we'll tell the truth. What? Yeah, I feel like
More than usual. Like, we're honest people, but I
We
feel
are.
like after you have 2 or 3, you just become even more honest.
it makes good radio or good
Absolutely.
podcasting.
Good podcast.
Good podcasting. But anywho, so we're here. We are at Casa de Camera. You have a cool compound out here, dude.
Thank you.
Like, this is cool as shit. Like, if any of you haven't seen photos of Bert's house or whatever else, I mean, you're on how many acres?
8.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that big.
So 8 acres, like a little woods, nice pool here in Florida. It's
Some
it's cool.
FPVing area.
Yeah, FPVing. You can fly helis. You can. I drove in today, and you and
There's
Chicken
only
Wing
one
were
person
shooting
that can
guns.
fly helis in my property.
Who's that?
The guy we're interviewing today.
Well,
Our
we're not
guest.
going to get to
We're
him.
not going to get
We're
to
not
him
gonna
just
get to
yet.
him. We're going to make him sit and
We're going to
wait.
build expectation.
Expectation.
So
But,
how you been doing?
I've been good. Well, we just got back from the blowout not long ago, and I'm trying to catch up.
Still? It's
With
been
life.
like 3 weeks. 2
Well,
weeks.
I'm trying to
I don't
catch up with
know.
life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just been working like a dog, man. Working like a dog. Trying to get the hours in, designing some drones.
I know you're trying to hurry because you have a date tonight.
No, I'm hungry. I'm just really hungry. So, how about you? What have you been up to?
Nothing much. My usual stuff.
Same
I don't want to
shit?
say the word, but yeah. Shipping stuff, ordering stuff, coming up with new stuff.
How's business?
Working on car stuff.
Oh,
Car-
really?
Yeah. 2 servos for cars coming out soon.
So are car servos more difficult or are they easier than helis?
Far more difficult.
Probably just because they bash them more.
I think that when it comes to how you design when it comes to the electronics side of it, I don't think it's as hard because I don't think that band is as crucial. Speed is not as important and everything else. But when it comes to durability, yeah, man, those guys beat the shit out of them.
Really?
They really do. They go through jumps, They fly 15 feet in the air and crash, and the steering sees a lot of beating, and the nitros
Right.
vibrate, and it's not like us. We dial indicate. Well, not anymore, but our stuff runs pretty smooth.
Sure.
Their stuff doesn't
And it
run
stays
smooth.
and it stays in the air, which is extremely clean.
It is clean,
But
but
the-
their stuff
the
is
car
going through
is
like
dirt.
clay and
Yeah.
dirt, and you
Mud.
get all that with nitro together, and then it gets wet, and then it rains, and
No good.
and they jump and land, and it's tough. It's tough. It's cool though.
Cool.
Different.
Well, I hope it picks up for you, amigo.
Appreciate it.
I hope
Something
it picks
different.
up. Well, cool. So, so we're back at it, and we have the privilege of. I was thinking that maybe the thing that can make this podcast a little bit different from those that are out there is we're lucky enough to quote unquote have been around the block, as they say.
Yeah.
To where we've competed, we've done demos, we've traveled a lot. So it's kind of like a podcast for RC Heli guys by RC Heli guys,
Yeah.
And in doing that, we've befriended a lot of the people who are, some of the top names in the industry.
Yeah.
And so
This particular guy is a very close friend.
He's close friend.
He's like a little brother.
We practically saw him come out of the womb.
I could have. I didn't know him back then, but I knew him fairly soon after that time. Yeah.
Yep, and he's currently looking at his watch.
And I'm
He might
very
have
good
a hot
friends.
date coming up. I don't know.
I'm very good friends with his father too.
Yeah, his
we've
father's
had a very
awesome.
long relationship. Yeah,
Absolutely. So without further ado, Mr. Kyle Stacy, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Stacy,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm feeling good. How we doing?
Doing wonderful, wonderful. It's good to see you, my friend.
Hey, it's good to see you, buddy.
We've known each other. I think we've all known each other for about. I met him in 2005.
About the same time, I think.
10 or 11
05?
years?
Yeah, 10 or 11.
I saw Bert for the first time publicly in XFC 2007.
Probably
I think.
No, 6.
6?
Six, yeah,
probably
yeah,
6,
yeah.
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 Nice.
It's been a while.
6, you were videographer.
No, 5, I was videographer.
6. That's the
Was
first
it
year I
6?
competed.
I don't remember.
And there's a video where you're filming, and I go to fly my first flight ever, and you're like, "Yeah, rock it, Bobby," and I'm like, "Thanks, Bert, appreciate it, man." And you didn't. You competed the next. You competed the next year.
Rock movement number 1.
That's good stuff.
What was
Kyle,
that? Rock movement? No. What is it called?
Yeah, it was Blue Man Group.
I remember that.
Some tunes I used back
Blue
in
Man
the day.
Group.
So Kyle, what have you been up to, my friend? What is new?
What is up with me? Just the same old stuff. Different day, just doing a whole lot of flying and testing for SAB and just trying to keep busy when I can. That's all.
So what is a normal day for Kyle Stacy?
A normal day. Well, let's put it this way.
What time does the alarm go off?
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. I have my coffee from 6 to 7. Hey, hey, I'm telling you. Hey, the alarm goes off at 6. The snooze button gets hit at 6:01. Okay. So,
Okay. And then what time does?
How many times
What
do you
time
hit the
does Kyle
snooze
roll
button?
out?
5 or 6 times.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
at
Kyle
10
rolls
o'clock.
out at 7.
So 10 o'clock, Kyle rolls out of bed. Okay, so
No.
normal day. I'm curious. Normal
Okay.
day.
So a normal summer day.
Normal. Sure. Give me a normal summer.
normal
day.
summer
when you
day.
can fly. Good weather.
Okay. So alarm goes off at 6. Out of bed by 7:30. Have some coffee. Have some breakfast.
What's
go
for
to-
breakfast?
Eggs and sausage.
Ooh.
And maybe turkey bacon because I'm trying to slim down.
That's good.
Got to be healthy. Okay.
But you're a tall dude too. I mean, you're what
6'5".
6. I'm 6'4". I feel short next to him.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Bert.
I'm tall. That
Shut
happens.
up.
So
Okay, so you breakfast.
I'm a foreigner.
So you breakfast.
yeah, breakfast, and then we head to the field and we just get some flights in, just all day long till probably about 3 p.m. Then I come home, check emails, and play Xbox.
Play Xbox.
yep.
What is your game of choice?
Call of Duty Remastered.
Remastered.
It's Call of Duty. For those of you who don't know, it's Call of Duty 4 redone for the Xbox One. I'm an absolute beast. I challenge anyone. I will kick your butt.
What is your gamer tag?
K Stacy 4. K Stacy 4. Very simple.
So
K-Stacy
if you're a Xbox gamer,
Yep.
does that mean that you're a FPV avid? Like FPV
Do they go hand
lover?
in hand?
FPV.
Are we getting into this now already? FPV? Let me tell you about FPV, okay?
No. Let's hear what you
We'll
got
get
to
into
say.
it
What do you
later.
have to say?
FPV is very, I'm trying to be politically correct. It's fun for about 2 minutes, and then I'm done. Done.
Okay,
And
that's
I get
enough.
back to helicopter.
Could it be because you don't have any fellow FPV pilots at your field?
That's possible. I mean, the most fun I've ever had in FPV was when Bert and I were flying at his house. We had a course set up with our
About a year ago.
Vortex. Yeah, about a year ago. He and I both bought Vortex 280s, and we cruised around his yard. We just crashed into everything we could possibly hit. I mean, I'm telling you, everything. Ground, trees, each other, everything. And we had a great time.
Yeah,
But it was fun for what, about a day?
yeah, I agree. Couple
About a
days.
day, yeah. And then we went back to helis. So, I mean, it's fun, but it gets old, and then I go back to helis. But that's about it.
I can understand. So when you're out flying,
Yeah.
what's your regiment? What's your practice like? Or what do you do? Do you even practice, or do you say screw it and just wing it?
It depends on the time of year. If it's for a competition, then I immediately start with set maneuvers and do music and freestyle and all that annoying stuff. But if I'm not practicing for anything, then I'll go out with electric and fly for 2.5 minutes, then fly nitro, and I just kind of enjoy myself these days. It kind of depends on what I'm working for. If there's a competition, then I'll practice. If it's just for IRCHA, then I'll go out and have a good time. But it kind of depends on what I'm working towards.
So I think this has been covered in multiple podcasts and magazines,
Interviews.
and SmackTalk RC and interviews and everything else. But for all of you guys that don't know Kyle Stacy, you probably have been living under a rock.
A rock.
A rock.
A big one.
A big one.
One that's old, too.
But Kyle Stacy's is achieved many accomplishments over the past several years, more specifically in the last, Bobby, 3 years?
Yeah, you've been on your game last
Tell
3 years.
us your achievements, like the most recent ones. I mean, we don't want to get into detail back in the day, but
Yep.
the last 2 or 3 years, you won the one competition. Was it 2014?
2015 and No, 2014, 2015, I won the IRCHA 1 competition.
The one competition.
Nice.
You also won the Heli Masters.
3D Cup.
3D Cup.
3D
in-
Cup
in
2015.
France. Yeah.
And then I won the IRCHA Battle of the Brands for 2016. Now, I'm going to thank two people, and not just because they're here, but they're very influential in my life. Bert Kammerer and Bobby Watts.
Oh, look at
helped
that.
Me
Wow.
They've
He's
helped me
thanking
a
us.
lot along the way.
Oh,
I
man.
can't thank them enough. Bert, I mean, you're part of the family. Bobby, same to you. I mean,
I
they've helped me a
haven't
lot
done
along
shit
the way.
for you. You've done it all for yourself.
Oh,
but I
please.
appreciate
I
your
totally agree.
your
All
compliment.
of the years along Holly Masters and XFC, you guys have helped more than you'll ever realize. So
Well, thank you.
The only thing I can remember to where I could have contributed to your success. The only time was, I think it was it Heli Masters? 2013?
2013, yep.
And you had to deal with your shitty weather up in New York, in the middle of the winter.
That's hard.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
That sucks.
We've been talking about it. Every time I see him, I talk about this during the winter because it's so horrible. And you came down to Florida you stayed at my house for what, a couple of weeks or 10 days or whatever.
Yep.
And we would go to the field every day. And it was like a very sort of it was like a regiment, man. It was like it was like military shit. It was like every day we go to the field and you would fly and I would see you flying and like you would do some cool move and I'm like, do that again.
Yep.
They're like, well, I don't remember what I just did. I'm like, fuck you, do it again. And we would start naming maneuvers that were kind of unique to you.
Yeah.
And just stupid names. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but you probably do
I
like
can name two right now. It's
name
a corkscrew loop. It's called the snail. You gave
the
it the nail.
snail.
The snail
Yeah.
and the grasshopper.
Well, give me
do
another one. The
remember-
grasshopper.
I do remember
Grasshopper.
you guys came up with some really cool stuff in like a week.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing that. I was like,
And
wow.
so we go to, soon after that, I think you flew back home, whatever, and then we met and we flew together. Or we met and
I think I flew to Orlando. We hooked up.
whatever,
and then
something like that. And we went
yeah.
together to the Netherlands for this. And obviously, I wasn't competing. I'm too old for that shit. But we were sharing the same hotel room, whatever. And we went to the field. And the funniest stuff though is he was so well prepared, so freaking well prepared. And yet, you were so nervous. It was ridiculous.
He does get nervous before events.
You almost
and you
threw
get
up.
bitter.
You
You get
almost-
very bitter.
Yep.
You get very.
Oh,
like,
you can't. You gotta understand him. You gotta give him his space and
Yep.
leave him alone because he is pissed off and nervous.
Yeah. And he's like, "Screw this! I don't want to do this. This is dumb.
yeah,
This is
yeah, it's
stupid."
funny.
I
It's
get
funny.
I get super nervous, super worked. I'm sweating. I want to
Oh, yeah.
puke. I want to back out
You
last
almost
minute.
threw up that one time. Like, did you throw up?
I was gagging, for sure. Guarantee it.
And then he went and killed it. And the
Killed
only reason why he didn't do better, what did you finish that year? Like third? Or?
Fourth. Yep, fourth.
The only reason why you didn't do better is because you made one stupid little mistake. I think it was your music flight, wasn't it?
Yep.
And that killed your whole, like, that bumped your scores down.
What kind of a mistake did you make?
If I remember correctly,
You
I
went
crashed.
behind didn't you go behind the, there's this little barricade or whatever you call
The
it.
zero line.
Yeah. No.
No,
like,
it was
but
it was a banner line. I crashed
Oh,
behind. I
yeah,
wanted to be
behind
cool.
the banner. He wanted to go under it, and he just
Yep.
pushed a little
That
too
is
hard.
one of the gimmicks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went behind the banners and too low. Hit the ground.
But other than that, every single flight was absolutely perfect, and you just didn't have enough score to win it, and you ended up fourth.
Damn.
But
Hey, that's the life.
but that was good though. That
Yep.
was good.
That was
That
a lot
was.
of hard work, a lot of time with Bert at the field. Like you said, it was like military. Like we were up at 7.
It was good. It was good stuff. It
Yeah.
was good stuff. We had fun too.
Yeah,
That's
his
funny.
lovely
You know,
wife Susie cooked us
the thing-
breakfast, and
The thing that sticks out to me the most about Kyle is I remember for years him being a ridiculous. I think people kind of forget this now. Is that thinking back in preparation for this interview? I was thinking back. For years, Kyle killed it with the micros, but not with the big stuff. For years, like
Kyle-
we would have all these little indoor competitions, and you and I would go. And he
yeah.
would smoke everybody with Gowie 200s, T-Rex 450s, everything in between.
Kyle had a hard time for some reason transitioning from
Exactly.
being like the best, and I mean
Micro.
this for real, the
Micro.
best in the micro class to being the best in the in the big
Absolutely.
700 class.
And
He
I
was
remember
killing everybody, killing
I
everybody.
remember when we were flying for miniature aircraft. The owner at the time, Tim Skinnard, we were having a conversation during a competition of some sort, and we were both like, "Man, when Kyle can figure out how to do
what he's doing.
Yeah, with the big stuff and the little
yeah.
stuff, he's going to be on fire. But it took you a while, didn't it?
It did.
Well, you were young at that time. Why was that? Were you intimidated? Were you...
I mean, when I was flying 450s, we're talking, I mean, I was, 12, 13 years old. I was so young that like a 700 doing stuff in front of me, it was kind of scary. I was young, it was intimidating. And it took me a while to figure out that these things can move the same speed if you figure out how to use collective management.
Right.
And use the power to your advantage. So it took me some time to learn that and transition to the same speed and style into it. But, I mean...
It was funny, though. I mean, I remember being at the what's it called? The World's Micro Heli Cup in Chicago at the iHobby convention years and years ago. This might have been 06, 08, 07, I don't know. Yep. And I think you won that one.
He won a lot of those.
I had a couple of them in a row.
He won a lot of those.
And I remember, like, you were just absolutely killing it. But then that same year, we'd go to XFC, and you were flying a miniature aircraft Stratus. And you had boom strike after boom strike after boom strike. And you could just not even... you couldn't even keep it in the top 10.
Yep.
And then, and you kind of struggled like that for a few years. And then you got to that point where you were just doing top 5, whatever. And then all of a sudden, in the last 4 years, it was like, just absolute change.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do remember also that not even going that far back, like 2012 or 11, 12, somewhere in that time frame, you were flying what I compare you to, like flying like I do. Like you were doing conventional maneuvers, yada, yada, like, clean lines and low to the ground and nice and pretty flights. But then you got to this point within a matter of months to where, like, you just exploded into all this new stuff that was, like,
uncharted territory.
Yeah, uncharted territory for, like, me and even Bobby. I'm sorry.
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely.
But it was crazy. It was like...
hold on, we have to interrupt. So, Susie, the illustrious Susie, Bert's kind wife, just brought in us a nice plate of cheese and crackers. Nice. Thank you, Susie.
My hero.
Thank you.
Kyle might need it.
I'm good.
Kyle might need it. Oh, I need it too. Bert, do you want some crackers and cheese?
I'll have a couple. So, yeah, you just went from, being a good pilot to being an incredible pilot. And, like, what made that transition happen? Like, what flipped the switch? What happened there?
It's really hard to pinpoint it on one particular thing, but I think the most influential thing for me was flybarless and electric. I mean, nitro is great. You can't replace nitro, but electric is in a field of its own. So once I got like a T-Rex 700 electric and put it on flybarless, testing the CGY 750, I was able to kind of expand my horizons for maneuvers and pitch management and power and all that. And I kind of grew from there to kind of, doing faster maneuvers, lower maneuvers, and just kind of growing my confidence with everything.
Do you think if it would have stuck with flybar nitros, would you have ever had the success that you have now?
Ooh, I would almost say I would kind of be in that rut.
Really?
Yeah, because I was kind of stuck in a rut, to be honest with you, because I was with nitro and flybar, and I was pushing it to what I thought was the limit. Now, maybe not the limit with a helicopter, but it was my limit.
Right.
So if it had not been for electric and flybarless, maybe I'd still be where I was before.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I remember coming up to Rochester one time, and we were flying in a gym. You were young, man. You were like 9, 10 maybe, and you had a Gaui 200. And I just couldn't believe the kind of stuff you were doing with the micros. I mean, dude, the kid with micro stuff. So what would you say? I feel like there's a lot of listeners out there who probably are in a similar situation. A lot of them have smaller machines and maybe can't translate it to the bigger aircraft. So what would you recommend to them?
Recommend. I mean, it's hard to say it, but just don't be worried about crashing. I know I was never worried about it, but it was something in the back of my head. Like, if I crash this is going to be an expensive crash. But
would your dad yell at you?
No, he never did. He always understood it. But, I mean, if you crash a 200 size machine, it's $20 in parts and you're back in the air.
Sure.
But if you crash a T-Rex 700, it's this, that, and the other. But you got to put that in the back of your mind, and you got to focus on getting yourself being better. And that's kind of what I did, and just grew from there, and more advanced maneuvers and getting lower. And then watching pilots like you and Bert and Alan and all the top guys at the time and just getting inspiration from that.
Wow. Sure. But we also have to give a hand to your dad, because your dad has taught you an enormous amount of things about this hobby. And especially with the little ones, I can remember he would sit down almost cross-legged. Like, it's his favorite position. Ray, I love you to death. I mean, Ray's a big dude, too. I mean, he's 6-something himself and, like linebacker. And I remember him always sitting down his little cross-legged and just dicking with the micros. And a lot, some of the times, not to take away from your skill, because obviously you'd beat us in skill, but most of the time he would beat everybody else in the micros simply because his shit kept running and everyone else's exploded. And Ray was the master at these little screwdrivers, working with these little freaking tiny parts.
He did enjoy that kind of stuff.
Man.
He loved that. Your dad loved it.
If you're listening to this, Dad, I mean, I love you from the bottom of my heart. You know that, but he was so committed to making sure I stayed in the air. He would always work on them. If I ever crashed, he would just immediately get into it and start fixing it. I mean,
absolutely.
More than half of my skill is dedicated to that man, just making sure I was in the air.
And I remember too, just real quick. I remember when I was up there that same trip. This was like 2008, and I remember I was staying at your house and. You were sitting there on the sim and he was working on something, and he's like, you know what, Bobby, this is my ideal of a perfect night. Me sitting here working on something and Kyle on the sim and us just talking about helis. Like, that's cool. A father-son sort of gig like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we talked about father-son on a couple of occasions before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we touched on that subject on our first podcast.
One.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. That's cool. So when did your dad start to just let go, in the sense that he realized, or he kind of acknowledged or realized the fact that now you were older and you were like capable of doing all your stuff, like not just the flying but everything else, like the wrenching and the traveling by yourself and everything else?
That came pretty recently, per se. I mean, I've been to the field since I was 2 years old. I mean, I've been going to the flying field since I was in diapers. Yeah, like Bobby said. So I've been there since I was 2, flying since I was 5. And I owe literally all I have to my father. I mean, if it was not for him, I would not be where I am. So he guided me along the way. He showed me who I should be, and he paid for all the models, and he showed me how to get further in this. But it didn't get till 2013 till 2014 before I was traveling and working on stuff on my own. Before I was traveling and, building everything and doing all the soldering and setup and all that. But he's still there. If I ever need him to work on stuff, he's ready to go. And I love that about him.
You guys have such a cool workroom, too. It's a separate garage. It's like a detached garage.
Yeah.
And there's RC shit from probably 4 decades.
Yep.
In there.
Yep.
Everything you can imagine.
Yep.
Everything you can
imagine.
I've been
there. It's
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
There's shit everywhere.
It's a little bit of a mess.
No. Dude, the best is the lipos. The best is lipos. Like, there's this huge stack with lipos everywhere, like exposed bullet connectors and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's waiting. It's just
safe.
waiting.
It's safe within reason, but there's stuff ranging from his first helicopter, a Schluter Mini Boy, to a Raptor 90 SC new in box, to
new in box.
The good news is the place is detached.
Yes.
So if it burns,
so when it goes up,
it's not gonna burn the house.
Yeah,
so that's a
just
good thing.
But it's gonna go.
It'll
righteous.
burn his motorcycles though. That's the bad thing.
Yeah, and it's right next to this little pond. You guys have a cool setup there in New York. And a quick shout out to your event in Rochester. That's a super fun fly. If any of you are in the Northeast area, that was always one of the most enjoyable, laid back fun flies.
And it's a very intimate. I guess you could use that word. It's an intimate fun fly because everybody there knows everybody and everybody gets along, and it's just a great time. And the night fly is the best of any other event in the United States. I mean, with the exception of IRCHA and IRCHA's fireworks, I believe is the only event in the whole country. I might be way off here, but I think it's the only event in the whole country that has fireworks on Saturday. Well, but I'm talking fun fly club, club run. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we have fireworks, and we fly through the fireworks. I mean, we've had Bert and Bobby and Jamie Robertson and Dick Maxwell over there, and
it's awesome.
Curtis, we put lights on the helis, and we just try and hit the fireworks.
We've had a lot of good times there.
It's fun. It's fun. It's small and it's relaxed.
So
lots of good times.
Talk to us a little bit about the one competition. I know you and actually Bobby. Bobby has been a big. I guess contributor or helper or mentor. I don't know, a little bit of everything when it comes to coming up with some of the ideas that for the circus tricks, as we call them.
Circus tricks.
Yeah.
During the IRCHA 1. So talk to us about like your first IRCHA 1, which was your first winning, because I know you've done it more than once, but your first win at IRCHA, at the one competition at IRCHA. What was the special circus trick on that one?
Well, just to preface this, for those of you that don't know, the IRCHA 1 is 7 minutes to do whatever you want. You get 7 minutes, you fill it at however you want, circus tricks, flying, whatever you want
Different
to do.
helicopters,
Yep.
you could land and take off again with a different heli or whatever you can do within 7 minutes, right?
Yep. And in past years, you have funny music. You fly your butt off. You do whatever you want to do. But as it developed, we kind of set a standard of doing circus tricks. And
Meaning, like, just good flying wasn't enough anymore.
right, you got to entertain
The crowd wanted more. Yeah.
And in, what was it, 2014, 2015 we did the box? I think it was 2014.
The box was
2014. 14.
2 summers ago.
Yeah, Bobby and I had been talking since about, I don't know, April, June, somewhere in there, of launching a helicopter out of a box. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier to say it than it is to do it.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple.
There's no doubt about that.
And we were bouncing ideas back and forth of like CAD drawings and how to do it. And just to put it very quickly, a box that was rolled out on Scorpion Motors. It rolled out, and we launched my Goblin 700 into the air using air power.
About 40 feet.
40 feet. I
Yeah.
started the blades
Yep.
and then finished the flight.
I mean, it was cool. I mean, the one started as, when it first happened in 2010, by some dumb luck, I managed to win that year. And I remember
You had the best show.
Well,
Like the
that's-
one has
well, that's
always
what
been
happened.
about the show.
Well, what
Yeah.
happened was it was a new competition, and I was just told I was invited because of my XFC placing. I was probably second, third, fourth, something like that. And I remember I said, "What's the judging criteria?" And they said, "Oh, we'll get that to you later, but we just know it's a lot of crowd participation." And I just remember thinking, "All right, well, let's just put on a show." And I'm a huge fan of like rock and roll. So, you see any good rock band and the whole time they're just up there talking to the crowd, working the crowd and such. So Master Rick and I kind of did that with the first one competition. And I guess we set like a precedence, I overdubbed some audio talking to the audience and such. And so we just figured, okay, well, screw it. Let's just make this a show, So when it came time to Kyle doing his thing this most recent year, the last year that they had it with the box, I'm just like, you know what, dude, screw it. Like the circus tricks, as we call them, got to like this point where it's like, what's next? We're going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Okay, well, sure. Let's just blow a heli out of a box. And it's way harder than it seems.
Oh, my God.
Because a heli is about 12 pounds. And we did some calculations of how long blades need to spool up and things like that. And we needed about 3 seconds, so I ran some physics little calculations there and figured out we needed to get it about 30 feet in the air. Dude, 30 feet's high. And it was very funny because Mr. Dahl planned to do a similar circus trick, like a catapult sort of a thing as well.
Which we didn't know about.
We
for
had
the
no
record.
idea.
We had no idea.
But-
I didn't talk to him at all.
Yeah, so luckily I got a buddy down here, Mr. Jordy Klein. He's very active in the film industry.
Yep.
And he and his father have been scuba diving their whole life. Yep. And so I ran it past Jordy and I was like, dude, we need to make a helicopter go 30 feet in the air. And he's like, well, air pressure, of course. So at the end of the day, and I'm going to preface this by, I have a bunch of behind the scenes clips and I just need to sit down and edit it from like a year ago. But I'm still going to post it because it's very cool stuff. So at the end of the day, we took a scuba tank and overfilled it to about 4,000 PSI and had a simple valve and a bunch of servos and RC. It was controlled by a Futaba radio. And more or less, we opened a valve super quickly. And that blew. We had a custom. What was it? It was like an air ram from a Caterpillar.
Yep. It was a ram to go back and forth, but
Yes.
you machined it off.
Well,
so
we chopped the end off, so it's
Yep.
just a one-way trip.
Yep.
And so when we pressed the button, it pulled a pin. The 10-pound weight dropped. That was tied to this valve, and then it opened up real quick, and your heli went for a ride.
Oh, yeah.
And it was super
So-
cool. And it sucked because even till that morning it crashed every time.
Oh, I'm sure it was a
messed up
nightmare to
every time.
finally get it done right.
And
yeah.
the first time it ever worked perfectly,
I remember
was
he
at the
screwed up
event.
some servos. And he came
Well, yeah,
so my servos got all
so
stripped.
Bert, he's
I'm like,
sponsored
fuck,
by
really?
Bert flying the servos.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'd be out testing, and then he'd text Bert, sorry, dude, I need another set of servos. like every time. And,
I just need.
and you were
You
very gracious.
used to break like gears and stuff, right?
It was well. We put metal servo arms because of the velocity. I didn't know if it would strip.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Metal
obviously, when you
arms
crash, you broke the gears. Yeah.
And we would hit the switch for it to take off, and it would literally just poop it out of the thing, and then it would hit the ground real hard.
Like something
and
or
strip the
another
gears.
would be stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
that was hard. And then we complicated it by having the doors open on the top slowly. Then we had smoke in there, fireworks. That was cool.
So
that was
hold
fun.
on one second. So when you had this box at the one, was this the year that things were kind of confused and they called Kyle Dole the winner and then they reverted back to you?
It's a very long story, but
Yeah,
yes.
we can get into that later. But was that same year? Because I want to talk about that a little later. But there was another year, which would have been the year before, because I think you guys skipped ahead. Wasn't the first year that you won the one competition the year of the parachute?
Yes, we did a parachute.
We did do a parachute.
That was 2014, I guess.
You helped me live out my dreams.
Now, hold on.
I'm all washed up.
Hold on.
You're just
This
anymore.
episode is all about Kyle, and I don't want to take away from Kyle.
No, absolutely.
But Bubby, you need to share very quickly. Just do it in like less than a minute or whatever. The story about you and I and the parachute, because I think this whole thing came
the parachute
somehow from
started,
that, right?
Yeah, so the parachute started from the first one, where they said, hey, it's crowd participation. Well, I said, screw it. I just want a blade stop auto, eject a parachute, and come down. And the original one competition, they told me no. They said none of these types of things allowed.
But even before that.
No. It was the same year. It was the same year. So it was 2010. So then what happened was I said, well, okay, well, screw it. If I can't do it during the one, let's do it at night fly. So Bert and I were doing a tandem night fly with our prototype Dalcon light system. And I'm like, dude, we're going to have parachutes on this thing. And we're going to go up, we're going to do tandem blade stop autos, and we're going to deploy parachutes, and we're going to come down. And it was a really rushed job. You had a DX7 and you ran out of channels. And so I had to put, sorry, I had to say that. I had to put your parachute.
Well, we have
ejection.
fly bars. We have fly bars.
Yeah,
We used our
fly
channels,
bars.
unlike today. Yeah.
So I had to put your parachute deployment on my radio last minute. And the way that the servo horn centered on yours under my radio versus like another radio we used to test was different.
It wasn't centered
So long story
correctly,
short, we're doing our tandem demo.
No, but before
demo.
Hold on. Our first flight, we did one flight and we finished the flight off pretty well. My helicopter
During the day?
No. The night fly. This was the second flight when mine went in. We were in the finals.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a refly. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
On the first flight, we did the flight. We finished the flight, and then we both were supposed to climb up for the auto rotation. And my blade stopped. I released the parachute, and like it landed hard. It didn't work very well. I think your blade stopped, or you did that, and then my blade stopped and then respooled back up by themselves as the parachute was releasing.
No, that was mine. That was mine.
It could have been yours.
You're confused.
Anyway, we did another flight. You might not remember. We did another flight. And that's when it happened, because we kind of made it to, you know how IRCHA, they clap people and then you're supposed to fly again.
There was a fly off.
2 off or whatever.
Right.
And we had made it to that fly off. And then on that flight is when we were just flying together.
We're sitting there doing rainbows.
We're doing funnels.
Yeah, something
We're
dumb.
doing our counter funnels that we do on most of our routines. And all of a sudden I just hear this pop and my helicopter disappears.
Your parachute deployed at about 6 feet.
Yeah, my parachute deployed at about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 feet off the ground.
And it sucked because it was at night and you couldn't see. And then you were correct. So then I finished the flight and I climbed up. I did a blade stop, deployed parachute, and I had full negative pitch. The helicopter rolled itself over. Blade started again. Tangled itself in the parachute.
That's when it happened.
And just destroyed my whole machine.
So
I had the idea in my mind for a while.
Keep going.
I had the idea in
Kyle.
my mind. So I'm like, okay, Kyle, like we tried this years ago and it was night. No one really remembers. It was a train wreck. So I'm like, dude, we need to do parachute.
Yep.
And it honest. So the only other cool part about that is we had a friend of ours, Yace Young. Mm-hmm. He wrote the custom soundtrack to that piece. So if you go back and type in Kyle Stacy, the one 2014, and listen to that whole parachute music sequence, you'll be like, wow, this matches up really well. Well, he wrote us a custom track. We told him what was going to happen.
Yep.
And he killed it, dude.
Oh, he
and you flew your ass off, and it just worked. It was so cool. Like, it gave you goosebumps. It really did.
That was like
and
an
you had
incredible
smoke.
flight, yeah.
You had smoke coming. Plus, the 3 minutes before that, you flew your pants off. That was cool. I mean, awesome flight. Like that was killer.
For those of you who didn't see it or who don't remember, is I climbed up real high, and Bobby would check the wind right as I was climbing up for direction.
Oh yeah, pulled some grass up. I forgot.
Hit throttle hold, put the stick at center, and deployed the parachute. It comes out, it's floating down, completely stopped the blades.
For a long time.
For a long time. It's falling, blades stop from the parachute, detach the parachute,
Yes.
start smoke, restart the blades, and
Yep.
then do a hurricane falling down. It was just glorious. It
That
could
was
not
awesome.
have gone any better.
That was cool as shit. That was a very
That was
cool
incredible, yeah.
That was
Because
awesome.
honestly, like the chances of that being pulled off, skill aside, because it's not a matter of skill, it's also a matter of luck.
Yep.
It's a lot of different factors that played a role in that.
Yeah.
But the chances of you pulling that off consistently, time and time again, were pretty slim to none.
Right.
You pull that off that one time, and that was the time you had to pull it off, and it was perfect. It was beautiful.
Well, let me tell you, I broke the mount out again because SAB liked it. And they said, let's do it again at Helifest. So Helifest 2016. I'm like, oh, sure. Why not? I take it to Helifest. I'm telling you, I did it 4 times and crashed the crap out of my machine 4 times in a row.
Really?
Because it just did
Really?
not work.
I didn't know that. But I remember when we tested, we even had, if anyone's familiar with skydiving, we actually even had a drag chute on that. So we got a big parachute from like a sporting goods that was like, I don't know, it was like 5 feet in diameter. But we even had a Estes model rocket drag chute.
Yep.
So when we opened it was a Scorpion motor can that held the parachute. So when we opened the motor can, the little rocket drag chute would open and then pull the rest out. I mean, that was some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention the smoke system.
Yep.
So, So anywho, you know what? It's nice to have younger friends, Bert, because when we're all older and washed up, we can still run cool shit by them and their game. So as long as we,
but you're still young though, fucker.
Yeah,
you're
but I'm over the hill.
Yet.
I'm over the hill with the flying
You're not
skills.
even 30. Are you kidding me?
Kyle, am I right when
You
hit
realize
when
that
you hit like 21, the skills just go away? Away.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you're like 40? That's when I was going to XFC or
I'll just be
35.
on podcasts.
Oh my god!
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Any pilots out there, if you hit 21, the reflexes go down.
So what about me when I was 35?
You had no idea what we had.
You had
when
no
we were
idea.
like 18.
If you had your skill at 21,
Yes.
game over. I'm telling you.
Dude,
You're
it's the
kidding.
reflexes. I'm telling you right now, I started when I was like 15-ish. I'm telling you, the years like 15 to 18, 19, reflexes are on point.
Yep.
But when you hit, I don't know what it was. Or maybe it's the amount of time we've been flying or whatever. Maybe you only have a certain amount of good flights. At 2021, I noticed a very big difference in reflexes.
But how did I fly competitively at 36, 37?
You did, but it's a
I mean, I wasn't like number one everywhere, but I was holding my game.
Maybe it's a certain amount of flights. No. Maybe like once you get into it and your mind is thinking about it all day, every day, you only have a certain amount of time that keeps your interest or whatever else. But I know for a fact that my best years of flying, I was 18 to 20.
You know, I'm telling you about it. I watched a video from me from 19. Phoenix Heli Rodeo or something like that.
Yep.
I was killing it. Now 20, new game.
No way.
I'm old. I'm telling you.
No, but it's not making excuses or anything for whatever reason. I know when I hit like 21, 22...
It's science.
Maybe it's the alcoholic beverages.
I could totally relate in a way because I started flying airplanes when I was like 12, 13 years old, and back in those days it was so easy, and I was on top of my game. I was the best pilot. Period.
You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like in my field, it was just like 300 pilot field, and it was like everybody couldn't understand why. 3 months later, I was still in inverted flight, 3 inches off the ground, like with just a good old plane on a trainer, and everybody was like barely struggling to land and take off from the runway. So
it's great. It's being young, like watching Justin Cook. You know Justin Cook. He flies
he's killing it.
He's absolutely killing it.
Give him like 2 more years, and then he's gonna be like ridiculously insane.
Oh yeah,
and then
give him 5 more, and then it's just gonna start going down. Yeah,
Justin, if you're listening right now, keep practicing, homie. I'm telling you.
Stay in school.
Stay in school.
Stay in school and keep flying it.
Yep.
You're killing it. Yeah.
So transitioning a little bit of a segue. So you are currently working full time in the RC heli industry, Kyle.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That is indeed correct.
So being you came up in this hobby being in school, and I remember your teachers and your principal were always very supportive of RC. So they let you reschedule classes and tests to get around RC events, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
So now that you're doing this full time, How has this changed your opinion on the hobby, for better or worse? Or how do you feel about flying now?
It's definitely changed, and I can't say for better or for worse, but it's definitely different now. I'm doing this as a full-time thing. I'm testing for SAB, I'm testing for BK, I'm testing for VBART. So, it is a job per se, and, you answer emails, and you go to the field, and you do testing. So it's different now. It's a lot of traveling, it's a lot of promoting, and it's changed, but I still love it. Like, it's still my passion. I still have a great time doing it. I still go to the field, just as motivated as I was on the first day doing it. So it's changed. It's a lot of traveling. I've been to Australia.
It gets to you, doesn't it? It gets old.
Like,
a lot of the listeners think that, a lot of people, not just the listeners, but in general, like throughout the course of the time I've been doing the hobby, and I know you know this, a lot of people think it's freaking awesome. And it is. But over time, it gets old. It really gets to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the one thing you'll definitely agree on is the travel. Like, I've been to Australia. That's what I mean, You and I went to New Zealand. Like, it's 16 hours on an airplane. Like, I'm not a small dude. I'm 6'5" and like 250 pounds. Like, I don't fit on an airplane.
Oh, I know. I sat next to you on the way to Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwan. Like, that was 18 hours.
And they cut us off. We were drinking. You were too young. Oh,
I was 13.
I was with your dad and Jack Burnside from Empire.
Yep.
And all three of us, we got cut off. We only had like 5 beers or so. 5 beers in 14 hours is pretty good if you ask me. If I'm stuck sitting next to you and your dad for 14 hours, you guys aren't exactly small.
But it's not just how much it sucks to actually get on the plane and go through the whole motion of the airport and not just going to the airport, because traveling is not too bad, but freaking taking your shit apart, putting it in a case and dealing with all the shit that comes along with that while you travel, and your batteries and everything else is a freaking nightmare. Yeah. But to top that off, when you get to where you're going, you're not going sightseeing. You're not going...
One day.
After
the event, you'll go for one day.
Maybe an afternoon, maybe one day if you're lucky.
Right.
You're just going to the other side of the world, and you're just literally going to a flying field. Yeah, that's all you do. Flying field.
I can't complain. Like, I have the greatest job in the world. I literally fly across the world to fly toy RC helicopters. But the traveling and the packing and getting my batteries taken by TSA and getting strip searched because I have a toy radio-controlled helicopter radio with me and all this, like, it wears on you. But I love, by the time I get there, I'm having the time of my life. Being in Australia, being in New Zealand, being in, Hong Kong.
Argentina.
It's awesome. Argentina. We have a great time, but the process of getting there is a freaking nightmare.
The process of getting there and coming back home. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I always found is that as much as I ever worked in this industry and as much as I got over the daily sort of grind of it, nothing really takes away from if you have a really good flying machine and you're out there physically flying, that's always fun.
Yes.
I've always found that fun. Haven't you, Alberto?
There's been so many incredible times of traveling halfway around the world, like Argentina, and like, it's raining and I took my freaking... gobbling out to that little courtyard thing in front of the clubhouse, and I didn't do anything special, but it's nighttime and I'm flying in between the cars. Obviously, I had permission to do so. And it was kind of cool, and they named the freaking place after me. I mean, that was awesome. Like, I don't care. It's not like I'm looking forward to having that kind of like recognition, because I really don't care. I do it because I enjoy it. And none of us really even give a shit about getting the recognition. Most of us, to be honest with you, don't like it. Right. Don't like to be on the spotlight. I think we all three hate the spotlight. I think we all three enjoy...
Look at what we're doing. We're flying toy helicopters. We can't have the spotlight.
We were talking about that, Kyle and I, actually, literally yesterday or the day before. We enjoy flying by ourselves more because there's no expectations.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we can do whatever we want, and we can fly low head speed. We can do whatever. Like, we don't need to be like pushing ourselves to the limit. But there's something that is really cool to go do that and like spend time with people and get people motivated to fly and like maybe share some like knowledge or ideas or whatever. It's always cool when people like write you and say, "Hey, man, thanks for That's kind of cool. It just gives you a good feeling. It's just
really
fun.
Does.
I totally agree. Really so this hot RC heli industry has been going through a little bit of a slow time, Kyle. So being that you work in this full time, what are your thoughts towards the future of RC helis, and where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years or so? What do you want to be doing? Are you going to stay in it full time?
That's that's a tough question. Things change months at a time. We're watching. It's going through a slow point. You can't deny that it's going through a slow point.
You
right
actually think it's going through a slow point?
You can
Because
see it.
we've discussed that with many people, and like,
Oh yeah.
some people,
Do you think it's
yeah.
going through a slow point?
Well, I don't even think it. You can see it. You can go from event to event and see that there's less people per event. But I think what it's doing is it's limiting the people who are not actually in it, and it's limiting down to the people who are fully committed to being RC helicopter pilots and being really into it. So it's going through a slow point, but it's done that in the past. It kind of waves through, people being in it and people not being in it.
Is there anything that you would tell the guy out there that's listening, that's like a hardcore helicopter guy? Like, is there anything that you think they should be doing to promote the hobby? Maybe go to events.
Go to events, travel around, show your neighbor what you do, show your friend what you do, show your cousin, because, it's fun. It really is enjoyable to do this. So get as many people in it as you can because, it's a good way to kick back, end of the day after work, fly your heli, like get your mind off of things. It's a good way to like enjoy time away from all the drama and stress of work. And
it is true that like every time you fly, even if it's for 2.5 minutes, it's like 2.5 minutes that you're away from the rest of the world.
From the world.
You're detached from the world. It's just you and your heli.
It's 2.5 minutes of freedom. That's what it is.
It's a long time. It's a long time that we don't ever get in this day and age.
Exactly.
We're always on Facebook and Twitter and this and that and Instagram and Snapchat. We don't decompress. We don't spend time with ourselves, and that's just
you're around family stress, your work stress, this stress,
relationship stress.
Yeah, I mean we've all been there. So you plug in your
relationship
battery,
stress.
you go have fun. I mean, hey, we've all been through the relationship stress. I'm on to the next one, but it's just this, that, and the other. So
I hear you. So
go fly your heli and enjoy life.
Okay, so coming back, so in 2 to 5 years, do you still want to be competing? Do you still want to be testing full time? What do you want to do? What are your aspirations, sir?
My aspiration? I don't know. I mean, if I can do something within the hobby, that'd be great. If I can get something outside the hobby, that'd be great as well. But I want to make sure that I maintain the fun because that's why I got this in the beginning. My dad always pushed me. If it's not fun, then don't do it.
Then go home.
So as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing this. That's plain and simple. So if I can keep, making a living out of it, then I will. But if I need to go do something else to maintain the fun, then I will. So we'll just kind of see what the future brings. That's all.
I like that. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
And getting back to it, Kyle, what going back to the one competition, the second time I think it was that you won
box.
The box year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they call Kyle Dawes the winner.
Yep.
And everybody said, "Oh, congratulations, blah blah blah."
Mm-hmm.
And then a few hours went by, and then they made an announcement that Kyle Stacy was actually the winner and not Kyle Dahl.
Yep.
So what's the deal there? They just made a mistake?
I mean, when it was all set, Kyle did a great flight. He had some nice circus tricks. He did an amazing flight, all that. And when it came down, they announced him winner. I said, okay, hey, they chose him winner.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. Whatever.
Better luck next time.
Yeah,
And
it's that's the thing about competition. It's a very ambiguous. It's subjective.
Subjective.
It's very subjective.
Yep.
You cannot, it's in the eye of the beholder. It's not.
Yep.
I mean, when you get to the top 2 or 3, they're all fairly close. Really,
right.
so.
And, they called him winner. I said, okay, hey, Bobby and I did our best. We did what we could. Let's move on.
Was Bobby pissed?
Bobby, were you upset?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
You had to be.
I took the box to the end of the field.
You burned it?
And I took a hammer and I ripped
Beat
the
the shit out
entire
of
thing apart for 3 freaking hours.
Wow.
I was pissed.
You know what I did?
I was pissed only because, here's how I thought.
Because
I love Dahl to death. I mean, he stays in my
course.
house all the time at the blow. I love Kyle to death. He put on a hell of a flight. But when it came down to it, I think he crashed twice, and then one of his guys hit himself in the eye with the catapult that they tried.
Bad, yeah.
I mean,
Andrew Taylor. Yep.
Yeah, we took a machine, launched it out of a box with smoke and pyro, crashed, landed it into the box, had the box slam closed to the music after Kyle put on a very good flight. Not as good as the years past, I'll give you that. For whatever reason, wasn't as good of a flight. And then we came in second. I was like, you know what? So I took the whole box, tore it apart, left it on the side of the road for trash. And AMA at the trash receptacle. And AMA picked it up. I was pissed. So, but I have to say, the coolest part about that I remember is after Andy P and Jack Burnside and some other the organizers of the contest, for whatever reason they decided to overturn the decision. They brought it up to you and Kyle Dahl, and I remember seeing you two kind of walk away together and sit there and chat about it. And you guys were really cool about it, both gentlemanly like, and I think that was the coolest part of the whole weekend for me. Seeing that.
At the end of the day, Kyle and I are boys. You know, I consider him family. I've known him for years now, so we can't let a competition get in the way of our friendship. So if he won or if I won, it wouldn't have changed the end goal. I mean, we're still friends no matter what.
Sure.
So when he won, I accepted it, and when they changed it, he accepted it. So we talked about it and how the overturn would happen. I mean, originally they wanted him to hand the trophy to me, but that would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's too much.
That'd be too much.
That would have been a little much.
So he turned the trophy in, and then they handed it over to me in the end. So I think in the end it went as smooth as it could be. I mean, of course, it's not going to be a comfortable situation for either of us. I didn't feel comfortable. He didn't feel comfortable. But in the end, we're still friends. It's in the past. I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. But I mean, we both did our best, and here we are. I mean, Bobby and I had a great time. We put together a heck of a show as best as we could.
Absolutely.
We had a great time, and it worked, and the pyro, and nothing failed. Of course, the flight wasn't the best, but of course, our priorities were on the box, not on the flight. So that's my defense.
Yeah, it was cool. And a special shout-out. We didn't give him credit. Special shout-out to Castle Creations for saving the day.
100%.
Because what we found, super quick, and then we'll get out of the circus tricks box sort of thing. What we had to do was spool up your heli and then hit hold and have it armed for auto bailout, because no one out there made a spool up fast enough to spool up in that 2 seconds that you're in the air.
True.
And Steve Rogers and Clint Akins from Castle Creations completely hooked us up and gave us was it a Talon or was it Ice?
It was an Ice 160.
Ice 160. And then you spooled it up, hit hold, put it in the box, and it sat for like an hour in the box, and no one had an idea that it was in there. That was cool.
I came back to you during the first flight, spooled it up, hit hold, and then I went back and watched the rest, and just was like, let's hope this works.
And then we armed it and all that. So anyway, to finish that off, once again, we're going to put a behind-the-scenes sort of thing together. I think it's like a half an hour. I remember recording a lot of footage for that as we put that together. That was fun.
The voiceovers, the testing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there.
A lot of crashed helis.
So, Bert, we have our guest here for about another 10 minutes, I'd say. Is there any other? Do you have any questions for young Stacy here?
I think you've been thinking about some other questions, haven't you?
No. Well, I just thought, I was just thinking, I think this could be, perhaps we could throw in a little bit of a segment to the show. And I think the segment is, you must ask Mr. Stacy the first question on your mind, and we'll alternate.
Oh, God.
Oh, pressure's on, boys.
So I'm going to begin. Kyle, favorite helicopter ever to fly?
Oh, boy. Favorite helicopter of all time?
That you've ever had to fly.
Okay.
It's a nice day out, you go fly, you pick up a heli and go fly it. What is it?
Dear SAB, I'm sorry. But the Raptor 90 SE. My dad gave it to me for Christmas back in like 2004. And he built it for me, and that was just an incredible helicopter. It flew amazing, and that sticks out in my mind as one of the best helicopters. Now, of course, compared to current times, it doesn't hold a candle. But in the time, I absolutely loved it.
Correct.
He's
fighting.
They're training him well. You've taught him well, Bert.
Yeah, I know. I'm a political master.
Yeah,
so
okay.
now that you're 21 or older, what's your favorite adult beverage?
Favorite adult beverage? I like water. Water's great.
You're so full of shit.
Okay.
What is your favorite adult beverage?
Come on.
Okay.
We're among friends.
I've hung out with father number 2, Mr. Bert Kammer. So Mr. Crown and Coke is my deal.
Crown and Coke.
Crown and Coke.
Yes.
Nice.
And Mr. Gator, my uncle, Mr. Gator, if you're listening, Nuki Brown is the best beer in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, this is true.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is true. Okay. Here's another one. For people to type into YouTube, in your opinion, your best flight ever, what is it?
Oh, best flight ever. We talking about entertaining or flying?
Just if you want to watch one flight of you, what speaks to you as your best flight that you threw down and you're like, wow, this is a good one.
XFC 2013 freestyle. That's the
Really?
time 2013. Yeah, 2013. I did what I felt like I put the most effort into the music and the choreography and everything like come together. That was the year I kind of worked with Bert. The majority of the time was 2013. I had the Orange Goblin, and I put a lot of effort into the music and choreography.
Remember that? That was cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, Mr. Camera, it is your turn.
Favorite country you've been to?
Favorite country, Israel, hands down. Israel.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Nice.
Yep. Amazing food, amazing company, and beautiful women.
Really?
Yep.
Did you have a chance to partake in any of those things that you just mentioned, perhaps?
No comment, my friend. No comment.
All right. So it's my turn. Man.
Next.
My turn. Let's see.
You know, Bobby, I have an idea.
What's that?
Do you remember E-Fest 2012 with the Delcon?
Yes, I do.
What did we do? Remember the indoor blade stop?
Oh, we did do a indoor blade stop. That's
Yeah,
right.
The Delcon. We had a good time with that. Angry
We did.
Birds and, yeah, that was a
We
good
put
time.
a Dalcon on his mini.
T-Rex
It's like
450.
T-Rex 450.
Yep.
Who won that one? Huh. I remember that.
The good old days.
Good old days. Well,
Back in the day.
relatively speaking.
Yes.
Let's see here. What is one thing in your daily life you cannot live without? Be honest.
One day I cannot live without. Let's see. I mean, I could say generic like helicopters, or I could say very bland like Facebook. I mean,
How many times per day do you hit up Facebook?
honestly, nowadays like twice. I'm very over the whole Facebook thing. I can't keep up with it for one thing.
Does this have to do with a relationship issue or just a
Let me
girlfriend
tell you.
or
Let
boyfriend?
me tell you. If you're ever considering getting a relationship, think twice. Plain and simple.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay, let's
think
change this topic here altogether. How about
suffering from broken heart syndrome. I believe.
we have a
Yeah,
little bit of
broken
time?
heart,
Let's talk
broken
about FPV
Yep.
once again. FPV. What do you think of FPV?
My FPV experience goes back to September 2015.
Yeah, you freaking made me spend like $800 on
Yes.
piece of
And you
shit.
guys had fun.
We were
What
at
a
the
piece of
Heli
shit,
Heli
freaking-
Extravaganza 2015. We bought the Vortex 285.
Yeah,
Bert and I,
piece of
at the
shit,
same
yeah.
time, we both
You made
bought
me
them.
spend a lot of money that
And you
weekend.
crashed everything.
We went in the woods, and the video
Deja
would
vu.
die because the video
Right,
sucks, and
right,
we
right.
hit a tree.
We
at
had no idea what the hell we
400
were doing
We
either,
had
so, yeah.
no idea. But honestly, I have fun with it for about 10 minutes, and then I get bored.
So,
Because,
what's your thought on all this of drone racing being on ESPN and such?
honestly, I feel like it's temporary.
Temporary.
I feel like it's here for now, but people might get bored of it. I mean, I got bored of it very quickly, and then I went back to
Have you
helicopters.
watched drone racing on ESPN?
No, honestly, no, I have not. But
So-
I've looked up DRL on YouTube, and I appreciate what they're doing. They're pushing the hobby, but for me, it's not my thing. Plain
Who's
and
your
simple.
favorite FPV pilot?
Favorite FPV pilot? I'm gonna give a shout out to Mr. Steele. He's very creative. And
So,
he's very cool.
if you were to create, what is your FPV game? Your FPV name?
Kyle Stacy,
No.
No.
If you had to create one right now, what would it be?
Maverick.
Maverick. Really? That's original.
Maverick. Nice.
That's original.
Yep. I don't know. FPV, it's cool. Like I get why people do it, and it's exciting. But I did it for so long, and then I got tired of it. That's all. I mean, nothing against
Why
it.
did you get tired of it? It's just because there's just like there's a limit to what you can do. I mean, you know
Yeah.
you fly your helis with a lot of creativity. You always do new maneuvers and stuff.
Yep.
Is that the main reason? There's just a limit to what you can do.
There's a limit. There's a limit as how fast you can get. There's a limit of how many trees you can fly behind. I mean, I've broken so many props. I got tired of it. I mean, you can only go so fast. You can only do so many flips behind a tree. I grew bored of it. Plain and simple. I get the attraction to it.
The flight envelope is limited compared to a helicopter by a long shot.
That's
Absolutely,
what I. Yep,
yeah.
100%.
So, as a world champion, how do you look at these FPV pilots having competitions now where they win
$30,000
6-figure purses in a race, and they've been flying for like 1 year?
I would say appreciate it while it's there because I don't feel it's permanent. Just plain and simple. I'm gonna be blunt.
Really?
I feel like it's temporary. Like if you can take advantage while it's there, then 100%. If you're good at it,
But you
then
don't
go
think
for
it's
it.
gonna pick? You don't think it's gonna stay there?
In my opinion, no.
Do you think helis will come back and be bigger than FPV racing ever?
Well, like I mentioned before, bigger. I don't know. That's hard to say. Like it's gone in waves. It goes up and then it goes down. Like it could come back and it might not. I mean, who knows? Right now, it is in a low. It's hard to deny that it's in a low. 100%. So
The interesting thing is like when it comes to FPV to be able to afford to pay number one winner $30,000, $50,000 or whatever it is $1,000, you need to find that money somewhere. So how do you find the money?
You go
know,
to Dubai.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, in all seriousness, where do you find the money? You're not going to get that money from within the hobby.
No, you have a big company like Pepsi or
Yeah, you get a
something like
big
that
company,
coming
or
in
you
and
get
money.
somebody that's willing to dump a lot of money
Red
out
Bull.
of speculation, hoping that this is going to be the next biggest, greatest thing.
Sure, I'm with you.
But how long is that going to last before, if
that's what
it
I'm
does
saying.
not become the biggest, next biggest, greatest thing?
Right.
How long is this going to last?
But that's my thing is, how can you make this a spectator sport? It's fun if you're the pilot. It's a blast if you're the pilot for a
Well,
race.
look at
But
ESPN though; they make it a spectator sport.
how? I mean, if you're watching, the crashes are awesome. Watching, a pilot
I'm with
go
him. The
full speed into a
spectator,
tree.
the spectator aspect
It is.
of FPV
That
needs
is-
to pick up.
It is
very
terrible.
difficult.
It is terrible.
Very
It's
difficult.
fun doing it. It's absolutely a blast.
I mean,
The only
today,
thing-
Bert and I flew FPV, so
Yeah, the only thing that FPV has over helicopters when it comes to spectators is that people can relate to a race more than they can relate to a
Sure.
3D flight, because
agree.
it's all about who wins and who loses. I mean, so it's simple. It's just easy. Anybody comprehends it and understands it. Helicopter 3D flying is so much more difficult to understand if you're not in a hobby, but it just doesn't. It looks boring and repetitive, and it just doesn't look impressive by any means. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah,
it's
but
very
you
new.
share some of the same, I believe, same opinions that Bobby and I share with
Yeah,
regards to
well, keep in
FPV.
mind it's very new as well. I mean, I can remember back in 07, there was helicopter competitions where first place was 30 grand. So this is also very new. It could go down in the future. It could go up. It's just, it's
Yeah, what
too
was that
new.
one in,
that was the Taiwan helicopter. Taiwan.
How much was that
Taiwan.
one?
50? 25?
50 grand.
And
Was it
cash.
50 grand?
I remember some of those guys coming through the airport with like briefcases full
I know
of
that
cash.
the-
That's
the-
awesome.
Curtis
cash.
Youngblood won that in 1 year. Yep.
Wish I could have been
Hiroki
there.
Ito won it one
Yep.
year, I think,
Yep,
too.
I'm sure,
I think the price pool was like 100,000 for all the
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everybody.
it was a lot. It was a lot of dough.
Yeah.
Him and Allen and Curtis, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Crazy.
All right, so winding down here, Kyle, is there anything you'd like to leave with the listeners? Is there any sort of piece of advice you could give? I mean, I'm sure a lot of young kids are looking up to you and in the flying scene. Is there anything you'd like
Before
to
he says
to
that,
give?
Bobby, how about get him wound up? We need to get him going.
Really?
We got George going a couple of weeks ago. Is there anything that you're pissed about in the hobby? Do you want to just send a message to people?
You got to give me a topic. I can't just think of one. Give me something.
Anything,
you know me.
anything.
You know me.
George,
Get me fired up. Get me
George
fired up.
had his good, message.
I
think
love George.
That was
if you
awesome.
copy my shit,
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck you.
and we didn't even ask him to do that. That was
Yeah,
great.
that was
if you guys
awesome.
haven't watched that one, that was episode 2.
Yeah.
here
Is
on the
there anything
podcast.
you have in mind? Is there anything that
Listen to
pisses
it.
you off? A message for somebody.
Bert's trying to get
You don't
me
even
on
have
this
to.
one.
No, seriously,
That's
you don't
too
even
broad.
have to
That's too
mention a
broad.
name.
That's too broad. You need to give me something that gets you know me. Give me fired up right now. Go for it. I dare you.
He has no issues. He's very happy.
He's very
I'm too
politically
positive.
correct.
He's
He's
very
very
politically
smart.
correct. Yeah.
I mean, I
And
don't
you're
mean
trying
to,
to
but
Yeah,
steer
he
him
learned
off
from
the
me.
road here.
but let me see if I can think of something.
What's one thing that really grinds your gears?
Really grinds my gears.
What grinds your gears?
Let me see. Sponsored pilots who think that they're the coolest person in the world because they've been flying for 3 months. They got sponsored by X brand, and then they're suddenly just the coolest person in the world, and they're doing demos for this company. Okay,
I can
stop
think
right
of
there.
a couple of those, and I know who you're thinking about.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me tell you, if you're a young kid in this hobby, don't get sponsored off the bat. Work your skills, get better in this hobby. The sponsors will come to you.
come to you.
Don't look for them. They will come to you. I promise you. That's how my dad taught me that from the beginning. They will come to you. Don't go to them. I'm telling you. Just work on getting yourself better and
Great
enjoy the
advice.
hobby.
Great
I
advice.
couldn't agree more.
Yep. Enjoy
I believe
the
that's a
hobby.
great piece to end it on here. That's some great advice to end it on.
Yep.
It really is.
Just have fun. That's what this is. We do this for fun, so enjoy the hobby. That's all
sure.
it is.
The hobby has gotten into this sponsorship thing to where everybody's sponsored anymore.
Everyone is sponsored by someone. Why? Why do you need to be sponsored?
I agree.
Because
don't
you
get it.
feel like you're a part of something.
I guess, but just have fun. Fly what you fly because you enjoy it, not because it's for a discount. I mean, come on.
Amen, brother. Amen. Well, Kyle, can you give us some of your social media info? How can people get in touch with you? How can people stay up to date with you?
Facebook.com/Kyle Stacy RC is the best way.
Kyle Stacy RC.
Kyle Stacy RC. There's 2 of them. Kyle Stacy RC.
Yeah, don't go to the other one. That's for his friends.
Yeah, I mean, if I actually know you, I'll add you. But Kyle Stacy RC, I post there probably at least once a week.
You don't do any
just-
Pinterest?
No, that's for women.
No Pinterest?
What is that?
Instagram/Kyle Stacy.
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook.
Nice.
That's all I can manage right now because
What about Twitter?
No, that's for personal.
personal.
That's
And
where
Kyle's a
that's
very
where I
nice
rant
guy.
about
Anybody.
things.
So if
Oh,
you
that's
guys
the
see
rant.
Kyle at an event, go up, say
Yeah.
hi to him.
I mean, I'm
He's
shy.
he's kind
but
of shy.
I'm shy, but
He's
I
not
open
an
up over
asshole.
time.
He's shy.
I'm
He's
shy.
he's very shy, but
Yeah.
he'll open up to you.
It
Yeah.
takes me time. I'm not rude. I'm just keep in mind I'm shy. It takes me a little time. That's all.
Now, if you are shy, then that's not going to work.
Yeah,
we got a big
neither one
problem.
of you is
Yeah, neither
going to
one-
make it.
yeah,
right?
We got a
exactly.
big problem with that
Yeah,
boy.
That's a big problem. All right, Kyle. Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. And anyone out there, if you appreciated this episode or have any questions or feedback, definitely make sure to leave a comment or I don't know. There's so many ways to tell us that you hate us. So just go in there and say something.
I agree. Definitely. If you hate us, you hate us, and that's good.
If
We
you
need
made it
haters.
this far and you hate us, then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
commend you. I absolutely commend you. And you need to
So-
get a life if you hate us and you made it this far through the episode.
Nice. So thank you for listening, guys. You can get a hold of us via Facebook, I think. I don't think we
Facebook,
ever reply to
SmackTalk
any
RC.
message, but
SmackTalk RC,
make
leave
a
a
post
post,
there.
comment.
Yeah.
We've been posting these on YouTube.
we don't ever check any of those
iTunes.
posts and comments, but we'll try. I
No, we
guess.
like to see comments and such.
We do.
We've taken some constructive criticism and curved
That definitely
the
we'd like to
show.
see. Yeah.
And anything else, any other topics you guys would like to see, anything like that. There's options where we can do this live one day, so we can roll like Facebook Live.
cold calling.
That would be cool.
We can do that,
That'd be cool.
but we can also run this live with Facebook, and people can
Live,
hear this
yeah.
and write
would be
comments
cool,
and such as we do this. So if you guys are interested in any of that, some comments or feedback would be appreciated. If you can share it as much as we can get this out there, it'll help just with everything.
So how can people contact you, Bobby?
Facebook.com/BobbyWattsHeli or BobbyWatts.com.
Nice.
How about you?
Facebook.com/Bert, BERTRC.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Or Twitter, Bert Hammer, or I don't know. Instagram. I just got an Instagram account. I never used it before. Bert
Welcome to
Hammer,
the
Instagram.
21st
It's
century.
awesome.
How about Tinder? Are you
I
on
have one
Tinder?
picture. No.
How about
I'm
Grindr?
too old for that
Are
shit.
you on Grindr?
I can't keep up with any of that.
You're not on Grindr?
No.
He likes Grindr. I'm on Tinder, but he likes Grindr.
Kyle
No.
just joined Grindr last
Hey,
week.
hey, let's take it
You on
easy.
Grindr? Anyway, so Facebook.com/BobbyWattsHeli or BobbyWatts.com or Facebook.com/BertRC or Facebook.com/Kyle Stacy
RC.
or our website is www.smacktalkrc.com.
That's it.
That's it.
You got
That's
it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kyle, for coming. Kyle,
Thanks for
Kyle,
having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Had
guys.
a great time.
See you, bye.